and the coach.
Welcome back, my friends. If you're new, then welcome in. Patriot Sports Radio. My name is Eric. I'm your host. Chris is over there shoving coal in the furnace. John Shirley, the impossibly handsome John Shirley, is in Denver, Colorado. John, how are you?
Oh, I'm great.
I've got some bad news for you. You are not the most attractive person on the panel this evening. We have Michigan Panthers pass rush specialist, Spring League champion, Houston lineman legend, TikTok phenomenon, Netflix star, and newly minted Tesla owner Chase DeMoor on the show.
Hey, no, you're making me
Chase,
blush.
thanks for joining us. How you doing?
Thanks for having me. You're making me blush.
Yeah, we learned a couple things about you. We wanted to sound smart when we talked to you.
Hey, you guys know more about me than I know about me, so that's good.
Our daughters know more about you than I think all of us combined.
I can explain. Guys.
Yeah, that's what he
This is gonna be
be
good.
says.
That's
What you say to all the dads.
Yeah, I'll have her home by 8. Respectable hour. Just PG-13 movies only.
That's cool. That's cool with me. I'll sign off on that. So are you down in Birmingham, Alabama right now?
Yeah, I actually just got here. I was away filming an undisclosed television show out of the country, so I had an opportunity to go do that for the last few months, and I flew directly here from there. So a good majority of my clothes are bathing suits and beach shirts, so you can only imagine.
Yeah, he's got irons in the fire. You got a lot going on. You're playing football. You're on TV. You're on TikTok. You've got a couple million followers on TikTok. I've heard you do lip syncing and some other stuff that's really popular.
Yeah, man. I think it's super important. Ever since I was a kid, my pops used to tell me, don't be that guy that's very one dimensional. Have multiple sources of income, multiple dimensions to yourself. Yes, you can be a football player, but at the same time, I think it's also really important to explore your other part of your personality as well. Don't just let football run your life essentially. So. Blessed with the whole TikTok deal. I started out as a sports content creator, and obviously had a likable face to a lot of respectable young ladies, and transitioned into lip syncing.
Yeah, Dad's a smart man. Be a well-rounded person. I was looking at where you'd played. I almost couldn't keep up with when things were. You did college, then you went to Montreal, and then you went to Arizona.
Yeah, so it's kind of funny how everything panned out. I was a JUCO kid, and I had an opportunity to go play at a Division I school, University of Nevada, Reno, with Brian Pullian and the boys. But unfortunately, the year that I signed was also the year that he got kind of the can. So didn't really have an option as far as that went. And I was a really homesick type of kid. Really had a girlfriend at the time, and I was like, you know what? I want to play football, in my home state of Washington. Let's go to this D2 that's up and on the rise. And luckily for me, it turned out, that year was they were number 1 in the country, and played my college career there, and then eventually, signed to the Montreal Alouettes. Obviously, COVID year, canceled the season. Transitioned into me finding an avenue to play that next year. Got a contract offer from the Arizona Rattlers in the indoor football league. I was already living in Arizona and working out there, and ended up not going to that. Had an opportunity to go play in the spring league last year, so never really got to touch the indoor Arizona team, but it was always on the table.
Yeah, first and only Mega Bowl champion down there with the linemen.
Yeah, man, I'm saying I'm coming off a championship season. Got a lot of great guys. Had a great head coach, Hal Mummy. And his system was just that air raid is just tough to beat. And obviously, I had a lot of really talented defensive players. I got Connor Christian and Wale, who's also my teammate over here. I had Angelo and Manny and all these really talented defensive players that took a lot of strain off of me and made the game really easy to play.
Yeah, it had to be kind of tough. COVID hit right as you were catching on as a player, it seems like.
Yeah, that's the shitty end of the stick. If I'm keeping it a buck with you, man, it's already hard enough to make it into pro sports, let alone a D2 kid. And I think that uh, the COVID pandemic, it's tough, and I think it soiled a lot of opportunity for a lot of players, and I think it goes back to like I was saying with my pop saying don't be one dimensional, and I kind of went back to the other half of me. I like to be energetic. I like to make people laugh. And I had a great outlet, with TikTok especially, and I took the sports side of me and combined it or comboed it with the athlete side of me, and I think that it transitioned really well moving forward into finding an opportunity in reality television, and as well as staying relevant in the sports world. I make a joke all the time. Actually, I was like, I'm probably the most well-known non-NFL player.
Yeah, I was talking
now.
to Chris as we were kind of learning about you. I said, this kid must love ball, because you could have walked away and done a couple different things, and you just kept grinding it at football, and now here you are in the USFL.
Yeah, it's funny because like I was having this conversation with NFL Films earlier today, and they're kind of asking me the same question. I kind of told them I was like, it's one of those things where it's like I was just always the kid getting kicked out of class for not wanting to listen to the teacher. You know what I mean? Like I was the kid that was like, I want to be this and this and this. I want to be the ninja astronaut pirate in space and do all these things. And I think a lot of that transitioned into my now post college career, my young adult career, or my young adult lifestyle. I think that it goes back to all these people telling me, it's going to be hard, it's going to be impossible. Like, not that many people have done it. It's not realistic. And it goes back to me saying, my realistic
Chase
and a lot of
DeMoor.
other people realistic is two different things.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
It's all in your head what you can accomplish.
Oh yeah.
So
it's all up there.
What is the draft process like? How do you find out that you're a member of the Michigan Panthers?
That's a funny story in itself, and not a lot of people know this, but obviously I was away, did not have access to a phone nor a network. I was in a remote country, if you could say. I didn't even speak English there, and I knew the draft.
Dude's like a football playing James Bond.
Yeah.
When is he not in a remote country?
Exactly. I was out there, marking my way essentially, and I think that
you're like the born edge rusher.
Exactly, super villain all the way to the T. And I think like with any great like origin story, hero story, whatever you want to call it, there's always like that moment of not knowing. And I think the draft process was definitely that. I think that it was kind of like I either played in this league or it was looking rather slim for the pro football career if I didn't want to take the indoor path. And I got a call from John Peterson Thursday before the draft. He gives me a ring, and he's basically like, "Hey kid, like we've been waiting to send you a contract. You haven't signed your contract yet." I'm sitting here going like Mr. Peterson, like with all respect to you, like I've not gotten a single contract in my mailbox. Like he goes, "What?" He goes, "It says right here that you were on the list to get a contract." I was like, "Mr. Peterson, I have been looking every single day for the last month and a half for this contract, and there's been nothing in there." He goes, "Oh, let me fix that." Types up an email. He actually writes it down on a pen and paper. I can hear him writing it as I'm telling him like all this stuff. He goes, "Kid, remind me what your 40 time is." Mind you, he clocked my 40 at the XFL showcase and at the spring league tryouts that they did last year. And I ran a 4.56, and he like that's what got me signed. I go, Mr. Peterson, I ran a 4.5. He goes, "Oh yeah, right. I'm just gonna go ahead and put 4.7 here." I was like, okay. Then he goes, all right, so kid, so I'm gonna tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna send this over to Fox. Hopefully Fox gets you a contract by tomorrow. If not tomorrow, it's gonna be on Monday. Get that thing signed and sent back right away. And I'm like, you know what? Okay. So I wake up the next day. It's Friday. I'm checking my inbox all day long. Spam, nothing. Don't got a thing. I'm like, you know what? It's gonna come on Monday. Go over the weekend. Try not to think about it too much. Monday rolls around. First thing in the morning, 8 a.m. Boom. It's in the inbox. I signed it. I sent it back. I think within 15, 20 minutes, I got a call from the Breakers. Like, "Hey, you're one of the guys that we want to pick up. Like, how would you feel about coming to New Orleans?" All this and that. And I'm like, "Yeah, sign me up. Like, I'm ready to go." And at this point in my life, I'm so used to like adversity, obstacles, and all this. And the draft rolls around. It's Tuesday. try not to think about it all day. I have like all my family back home really rooting for me, and people in particular that were just like super excited about it. And I was like, you know what? Don't get too excited. I went through this process with the XFL. Like guys like me don't get picked up because like we're small school people. We're the guys that get signed in free agency and the supplemental drafts, and we go and we shock the world, and everybody's like, where'd this kid come from? That's always been the mold. And like I said, back to that hero origin story. It's coming down to the end of the draft at this point. I turn off Twitter, turn off all my lights. I'm going to bed, and right as I close my eyes to go to sleep, my phone's ringing. I pick it up, and I hear a bunch of guys laugh. It's Jeff Fisher, and he goes, "Dang, kid, you've been all over my phone today." And I was like, "Sorry, who is this?" like, how did you get my number, essentially? And mind you, like I'm far away, so it's really staticky. You can barely hear it. He goes, Chase DeMoor, congratulations. You're going to be a Michigan Panther. We're going to take you here next. So I'm sitting there like, sorry, what? Like, what? He goes, what number do you want? I'll go, I want number 17. He's like, no, you can't have 17. I think they have number 13. I was like, okay, coach, what number do you want? He goes, pick something in the 90s. I was like, all right, give me 91. He goes, really? A guy like you should be more swaggy than that. And I'm like, okay, coach, give me 97. He goes, perfect. That's what we want. Thanks, Coach Fisher.
Nice.
I was going to get to what was your first impression of Coach Fisher. That was definitely somebody I wanted to talk about. When I decided on a team, basically was when they announced the coaches. I'm like, oh, Jeff Fisher's coaching a team? That's my team. I think the marketing they did was really brilliant, how they released the jerseys and the coaches and the draft picks. Were you guys involved in that in any way? Because you're obviously internet savvy. You're good at marketing. They should involve you guys.
Right. And it's funny. It's funny that you say that. So, like, obviously, first impressions of Coach Fisher. Coach Fisher's a great dude. One of the best leaders I've ever seen. The dude showed up to practice, and he goes, "I didn't like the lunch today. I got a cart full of pizzas for you guys." Great dude. Great dude.
And let's go, Coach.
Yeah. He's like, you know what? You guys want to eat it now before practice? We're not going to go for another 30, 40 minutes anyways. I'm like sitting there thinking like, I don't know if this is a test or if he's
Is this a test? Yeah.
No, he's a great dude. Outstanding, brilliant. And I think that, obviously me being internet savvy, understanding the process of things, obviously I was away out of the country. I showed up to camp 2 days late. Because of other obligations that I had. And so I missed like a lot of like the media stuff initially, but as soon as I got here, they're picking my brain. I'm talking to NFL Films. They're shooting a Hard Knocks for this whole deal. And, right away I was like thrown into the loop. They're basically telling me like, hey, you're one of the guys that we picked to mic up for this thing. And we're going to follow your story really closely up to the championship of this. And I'm sitting here thinking like, obviously a lot of the other guys in the hotel, they like to have like this, opinion of me because I'm a reality television star / social media influencer. And so obviously I have like a giant target on my back. And so it's like, I come here and everybody's upset that I'm mic'd up and on camera. But like, it's like I tell them, it's like, if you have 100 guys in a room and somebody has a cut on them, are you going to go to like the 10 guys that have, a first aid certificate, or are you going to go to the one guy that went to med school? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it makes sense. And I think that, like I said, going back to Coach Fisher and the social media processes, he's brilliant. The guy knows how to market himself. If anything else, he's one of the older guys that really gets the game. So
where'd that go? Oh, the Tesla. Yeah, I want to get to the Tesla before we forget about it. I watched mostly football. The one social media video I watched was the one where you got the Tesla.
Yeah.
What was that like? Had you driven one before you purchased one?
Like, I'm gonna be honest with you, I bought that thing and didn't even know how to make it go. I was like, you come into a situation like, I grew up very poor. I grew up in the hood. Unheard of for a 24-year-old to buy a brand new car, let alone a brand new car of that caliber. It's a $140,000 car, and I think that paying that off was definitely a blessing because it shows that 2 years ago I was sleeping on a floor. Fast forward, and I always said Tesla one day, and I had this idea of I wanted this this fast car that's Tesla, and it gets to that point where when I bought it and the process of buying it was not so much you go to the lot traditionally, talk to the car dealership, negotiate prices. It's like that. You go on the website, Elon Musk pick the price, you pay for it, you wait damn near a year to get it, and then you get a text message that says, "Hey, your car is parked at this lot, and come pick it up at this time, and have fun
So
with it."
you'd been dreaming about this Tesla since you were younger, struggling, and now you get the. What's it like to get that text message that your car is now waiting for you? That had to be a real "I made it" moment.
Yeah, you know, like there's very few moments in my life that I've cried, and that's one of those moments like I'll never forget, because like I get it's only a material thing, but it was more of like one of those things where it's like you have this dream and you see it come true. It's not so much the material, it's just the fact that you showed up each and every day regardless of the outcome, regardless of the shitty circumstances, regardless of the cards that you were dealt, and you played your hand, and you found a way to win. And I think that moment toppled up with this last Christmas I was able to do a lot of very blessed things for my family, especially my mom in particular. And
That's got to be the best.
it was just like her tears. I it was a lot, and I actually recently posted a video on my Instagram and on my TikTok, and it kind of like followed my story a little bit. And it was just one of those moments watching my mom cry, and knowing like regardless of everything, her kid made it, her baby made it. So it was one of those moments for sure.
It was all worth it.
Yeah,
Speaking of money, they're putting real money behind this. The USFL this time. You got Fox and NBC are going to be showing, I believe, 19 games or 20 games, and then 19 are going to be on either Fox Sports or USA. NBC is kind of moving NBC Sports over to USA. Are you going to be mic'd up on these broadcasts on Fox?
Yeah,
or on the hard
that's another one of
knocks?
those blessings I'm talking about. Apparently these guys, they tell me I'm a funny kid, so I think
Our boy is crushing it.
I got lucky, and they're like, you know what, we're gonna pick 4 people, and you're one of the 4 people. Like, don't let us down. Today was my first day. I mic'd up, and they had a blast with me out there today. And I think on NBC, Fox, all the money that's in this league, Fox owns the league. They're doing a phenomenal job. Like, just so you guys are all transparent, to even step on a practice field, I can't tell you the extensive amount of medical testing that they made us do before we could even put on a pair of tennis shoes. I was at a hospital getting like the most intense physical I've ever seen in my life, just to make sure like I was healthy enough to continue to play football. Like, I'm talking, they hooked us up to like heart monitors, and they were having us jump and dance and do all these things. And it's just like, it shows that Fox, who owns the league, like I said, has a very firm hand in this, and they want to see this league succeed. Obviously, the XFL a couple of years ago was one of those leagues that would have made it had not COVID happened. I think this league is going to stick. I think the structure of what we've been going through thus far has been super successful. Everybody's happy. It's ran like an NFL. Like, I feel like I'm in NFL training camp right now.
And you were at some XFL workouts and combines and things. Is this different than that?
Yeah, I was a popular name in the XFL. I think I was one of those kids that, like I said earlier when I was talking about getting that short stick because you come from a small school. I was top of the charts on every combine and every invitational there. I was in the first batch of people that got invited to even show up for the draft. Potential first round draft pick. I think the process of that versus this is very similar. I just think that if I think XFL and I think this, it seems like one and the same. And I think that. Right now, are we good?
Mm-hmm.
We're doing good. I think right now that I see immense success with this league. It's the league's based on quarterback play. To have a successful league, successful quarterbacks. Obviously, I got 2 really good quarterbacks on my team, so I'm feeling pretty good about this thing.
Yeah, I think, like you said, it was poised to succeed, and then COVID just smacked it in the face, and sort of a bit of a false start. I have one more thing I wanted to ask you about before I sort of turn it over to John. All these things you've got going on, and you're just, you've got confidence, like an aura of confidence around you that I can see. you're nothing but positivity. It seems like you're handling, all these things really well. What's the key to balancing all this stuff in life at 25 years old and being successful at it?
I think that the key is like I always walked around with that chip on my shoulder, and I think that from an early age, like I always told everybody around me, like I'm gonna be something, whether they believe me or not, whether I was doing good or not in life, and whether I was showing up wearing the same clothes to school every day. And I think that I knew, like, they used to talk about one day. And I think that I'm at that point where it's like not a lot of opportunities um, like give you another opportunity to move on to something else. And I think, with the whole Netflix thing, I understood while I was on the show, like this could be my one and only shot to make the most of it. And I think, capitalizing on that opportunity and then having another one roll around, I think I look at every opportunity like this is my one shot. And I think like, I'm an optimist, always been an optimist, even when it's looking grim. Obviously, a lot of you guys, if you guys watch the spring league, a lot of those games, we were down in the fourth quarter, 3-4 minutes left, and we're down by 3-4 scores, and we always came back and pulled it out. And I think a lot of that, I'm on the sideline telling guys, my pops used to say it best, you keep playing until that clock hits zero, and I take that with me in life. And I think that being optimistic, being positive, seeing the glass is half full rather than half empty is going to take you a lot further in life. And I think, it doesn't matter if I'm on TV or if I'm playing football or if I'm making, videos for social media. I think that each and every one of those things is my one and only opportunity, and I need to, stay on top of them.
I'm a Chase DeMoor guy. Yeah. I'm a fan now. John, what do you got? I'm going to go try and find a Chase DeMoor jersey online right now.
Hey, I'll get them all sent. Send them to me. I'll sign them all and send them all back.
I love it.
All right. We at least need to get some football signed for sure. Nice. Yeah, man. I mean, first of all, congratulations on all the success that you've had so far. That's super impressive. And as you're telling me just a little bit about, who you were in high school and all that, it seems like you've had to overcome a lot. So I'm just curious about that. And you mentioned your dad a couple times. Was he probably the biggest influence? Was it coaching? Because, people don't get where you are completely by themselves. Obviously, there's some influence. And while obviously you do all the work and all that, I just want to hear, just about some of the influences in your life, whether that's dads, coaches, who's been a good impact on you?
Man, that list can go on and on. Like I tell people, I use the word pops. I know you guys particular with that word is because I'm not specifically talking about my dad. I have two people I talk about specifically. I have my dad and then my grandpa, who I called Papa. I lost my dad when I was 10 years old. He taught me a lot of life lessons. And then, kind of my grandpa, my Papa was turned into be like our new dad. He filled that role for us. And, he was one of the best men I ever knew. And he, he passed away too when I turned 18 on my graduation and stuff. And, the last conversation I had with him was, my older brother, I have an older brother. Not a lot of people know about him. He's about a year older than me. He's actually in prison right now on, some very serious charges. And I think him and I represented very similar, the exact same, actually, opportunities in life. And I think that my grandpa specifically understood that, one of us was going to look after the family after he was gone. And I kind of just took it upon myself to do that. And, like I said, I'm a man who sticks to my word. And I think that, between him, who was like a huge inspiration in my life, my dad, who's an inspiration in my life, and then obviously, I have my Uncle Joe, who, he was at every football game for me, since forever. And I think, he pushed me post college as well I was going to hang it up after college. And he's like, I had an opportunity to go play in this all-star game, but, it costs a little bit of money to go to it. And I think he was like, what, screw all that. You're going, kid. And, he was a big impact on me as well. And I think, all these little people that you run into along this journey, you just take something from each and every one of them. And I think, at the end of this thing, your piggy bank's going to be pretty full of all those positive quarters. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's awesome to hear. And obviously, like, you've had a tough road, and I'm just curious more about that. Like, where do you get all this grit to, and self-confidence to put yourself out there. And I mean, you're putting yourself out there in ways that very few people understand. I mean, you're on Netflix, you're getting mic'd up. Is that just something that's natural for you? Is that something that you had to kind of grow and become, or have you always just like enjoyed being somebody that could entertain and make people feel comfortable?
I think I was a really self-conscious kid growing up. I didn't really talk a whole lot, and my mom used to tell me all the time I get by life, with a smile and good charisma. And I was thinking, you know what, she might be onto something. I've passed a few late homework assignments and have gotten a couple of test grades bumped up, but I think once I realized, I think there's very few people on this planet that, have this ability to inspire, people, whether they want to or not. And I think I was not given that ability, but it was something that I really wanted and wish I had. And I think that it's something you can learn. And I think my favorite movie as a kid was The Lion King. And like, obviously everybody's seen The Lion King. Simba kind of runs away from home when things get hard, and he's raised in the slums and all this and that. And he comes back, and it seems like once he came back, everybody was like kind of like looking at him to be that leader. And I think I took a dark road for a while after my pops passed away, and I was running the streets and just not being the person I needed to be. And I think that once I woke up and realized like a lot of people were gonna look to me to be that leader, that I kind of pulled my head out of my ass, and I was like, you know what, I think I need to figure out what's next, and it goes back to like, don't be one dimensional. So
yeah. So on the leadership, I'm a little bit curious about that. I've studied a little bit of it just working in corporate America, but that's one thing for you who's kind of been had just a much more I'll say like less 9-to-5 leadership. I mean, they're very different. So I'm just curious about real life leadership. Where do you learn that? What are some of the lessons that you've learned along the way? Some of the struggles, things like that.
Yeah, here's the thing about being a good leader is one thing I had to learn was not everybody's gonna like you. In fact, I think more people will dislike you than like you, and I think that understanding to take everything with a grain of salt will take you very far. And I think some of the lessons I've learned, if I'm being specific with you, is like I used to think like I need to be a people pleaser, and the way to be a leader was to get everybody to like you and do everything that they wanted you to do, so that you never had any turmoil. And I think it put a lot of people in a really shitty situations, and I was not the way. And then I tried the other path, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to be the dickhead leader that nobody wants to hear. I'm going to yell at you if you get it wrong, and like that wasn't it either. And I was sitting there thinking, like, what are some good leaders that I know in my life? And it goes back to, my grandpa, my papa, and he was always like a soft-spoken guy, and he kind of just did things without really having to explain it. But we always knew some way that it was going to be beneficial for us. And I think that the importance of being a leader is, yes, you're going to wear a target. Yes, people are going to come for you. But like, here's the thing, as a leader, I make references to lions all the time. I think, that's my spirit animal 100%. I think, if you want to be a lion, you don't just get to wake up and tell people you're a lion. You got to go do what lions do sometimes. Right. And I think more lessons I've learned along the way is, you don't always have to please everybody. And like, I think, taking a step out of the box and being able to admit when you're wrong is just as good as, telling somebody else they're wrong. And I think, maturity comes with it. Yeah. I still, to this day, I have a lot of lessons to learn, and I don't do everything right. But I think the big thing that I've learned along this journey is I'm never going to be 100% right. I'm always going to continue to learn. And, when I get to the end of this thing, it's going to be a hell of a story. So.
Yeah, it's good to hear. Yeah, my background is entirely different. So like the vision of leadership for corporate finances is a little bit more boring than that. So it's good to hear that.
I'll bet. That's a little bit
different. Yeah, I'm always interested to hear, like I've listened to military guys and stuff like that. And it's always good, like you said, to have like multiple things that you're working on and get kind of that input from other people in your life. And it sounds like you've done a really good job of being multifaceted, like you said. And it sounds like you have this really interesting vision for your life. Are you somebody who sits down and writes out a vision? Are you somebody who just kind of has things in the back of his mind, got a lot of irons in the fire? Like, what's your approach to this life that you've taken? Because I mean, nobody else is really living this life, right? I want to hear what you're
Man,
doing right.
it's funny because like I'm the first one to ever do it. Be a Netflix star and a pro football player. And I think if I'm being honest with you, I wish I could be that guy that tells you like, yeah, I have this whole 5-year plan, all this stuff right now. To be honest with you, I don't even know what I'm having for dinner. I think I'm the guy that
Yeah.
like, you know, I hope for the best, I aim for the best, but I prepare for the worst. I think I wake up every day not knowing what exactly I'm gonna do, but I do know that whatever I decide to do today, it's gonna take me in the right direction. And I think like I'll go through these processes and you know I'll have an opportunity that comes up and it's like, okay, well, I know that opportunity is going to be next week or you know next month, and it kind of comes back to like doing podcasts like this. You know, you never know who's going to hear something
Mm-hmm.
like this. And I think, you know, I spoke with you guys, you know, last week. Hey, I'm going to be here, you know, X day, like we're gonna do this thing. And I think that you know, you those little things start to build up. And I think I think that, you know, I don't believe that I don't believe that you have to write out exactly what you're going to do in order to accomplish it. I think that's good. I'm there for corporate America. Corporate America, don't cancel me. I think.
No. Hey, I quit corporate America 6 months ago. So
I think
I'm trying to get real life
exactly,
experience
exactly.
right now.
I
That's
think
what
that,
my life's about right now.
I think if you try to plan things, like it has a way of like you'll divert away from your storyline to go and get things. When you just go, eventually you'll meet that point. And I think, you know, I have a lot of coals in the flame, yeah. But like, if I'm being honest with you, I have no idea what it is I'm doing. All I know is I'm doing the thing, and I'm just gonna keep doing the thing. So
yeah. And I hesitate to call you lucky because you're not. Obviously, you're working hard, but there are some people where opportunities always find them, and I feel like you're one of those guys. And I'm just curious, you know, right now you're obviously focused on USFL, and if you're somebody who opportunities always find them, what's a route that maybe outside of reality TV or some of the things you're doing now that you're open to? Are you somebody who wants to host a TV show, host a podcast, or do something completely different, like just get into real estate? Or, you know, is there anything in your purview that is just like off limits, or are you just going to start taking the world by storm in the next 5-10 years?
You know, it goes back to what I was saying. Like, I want to be the first ninja astronaut in space. And, you know, I know it doesn't make sense, but if you look at it, like, I think my YouTube channel is like a good example of this. If you go to my YouTube, you'll see like, okay, on this video, Chase is getting a Tesla. He's talking about a car. On this video, Chase is on vacation doing a vlog with this girl. In this video, Chase is doing a podcast. Those are 3 different YouTube channels, you know, and I think I'm one of those people that wants to be multidimensional. And obviously I have, you know, another TV show coming out here in a couple months, and then another one, you know, later this year. And like, I have 2, you know, more Netflix shows in the bank that are going to come to a screen near you. And then on top of this thing, you know, I'm going to go win this championship with you know, the Panthers, you know, go Michigan. And
nice.
You know, I'm going to have that story to tell. And obviously, you know, NFL Films is here. They're shooting a Hard Knocks on the USFL. I'm going to be, you know, on TV with that, doing the thing with that. And I think, you know, yes, I want to be a host one day. I want to be a TV host. I want to be a football coach when I can't play anymore. And, you know, I went to school and got, you know, my degree in neuroscience. I want to focus on, you know, relationship development. I want to be a marriage counselor from a dating show. And I think, you know, there's nothing that I would say no to. If I was going to be a car salesman, then I'd be the best car salesman in the world. And I would tell anybody listening to this thing right now, if you have an opportunity to say like your job is you are a cell phone salesman or something even small, that you clean shoes at the mall and you sell people those shoe box cleaners, and you clean their shoe for them and then you sell the box. In my head, if I was doing that, I would go and I would look at every other person that's doing the exact job that I'm doing, and I would take a note from them. I would take a very good note that they do, and I would take a very bad note that I don't want to do, and I would compile these things, and I would take notes on myself to see like what I'm doing good and what I'm doing bad and compare the two. And you know what I would do? I would take one of those negative things out, and I would take one of the person's positive things, and I would just add it to my arsenal. So when you get to the end of this thing, I will be the best shoe cleaner in the world, you know? So that's the way I look at things.
Yeah. Dang. So you said something that was kind of interesting and kind of a shared interest, neuroscience and relationship. Have you ever heard of Dr. John Gottman?
I have not.
So if you have an interest in that, and you want to see somebody who's the best, he is the best marriage counselor in the world. And he's somebody that he's written a lot of books. Definitely listen to that. I've listened to some podcasts with him, and it's not even just about marriage or anything like that, but he's a guy who can fine tune into personalities and relationships in a way that nobody else can. And so that's somebody, if you're serious about that, that would be
Dr. John
somebody you would look into. Yeah, he's getting old. So he's actually got an interesting story. And the guy he learned from actually learned how to read faces. And he used to actually read horses' faces and could bet on horses because he knew which one was going to win, and became extremely wealthy doing that. So he learned from the guy who was like the savant at reading facial cues and building relationships. And
I'm
stuff
definitely
like
going to look at.
So sorry to take it off into
look into this guy.
He's the best. So if you're looking for people to look into that field, it's just a weird common shared interest I think we had.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm definitely going to look into that. That's amazing.
Yeah, he's
Dr. John
he's cool.
Gottman.
And then Dr. John Gottman. And then my last question. I get asked this every once in a while, and I'll ask you, what is your superpower or superpowers?
I would say it just depends. I think in the human world, I think my superpower is like I have an energy that I get off that I think puts people in like a positive mind. I think I'm one of those people, or at least I like to think that anytime they're around me, it's hard to be in a bad mood because I'm always laughing, joking, the lighter side of things.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that's like my in real life superpower. I think in the football field, I look at myself as I'm very gifted athletically, and I'm very thankful for that. I work really hard on it. I think being 250 pounds, moving as fast as I can, is something not a lot of people have, especially when it comes to. A lot of people know I'm phenomenal at blocking kicks. I'm actually the best in the world at it. And
most in 2018.
Dang, I was just going to ask you, what are you the best in the world at?
Yeah, I think I have a superpower to block kicks, field goals, PATs, and I use it every single day, and it saves a lot of football. I think for us Panther fans out there,
it's a game changer.
Panther fans out there, it's going to come down to a field goal, and I want every Michigan Panther fan out there to know in their hearts this game's not over just because they got to kick a field goal. They still got to go through those goddamn goalposts, goddamn.
That's right.
So,
let's eat.
It's a long route from that foot to the goalpost, and you're in between it.
And I think within relationships, my superpower is I'm determined. I'm the most. You can't break me. You guys have seen Batman, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you remember when he's fighting Bane and he talks about what's gonna break first, your body or your spirit? Well, I'm gonna keep it a buck with you guys. You guys are gonna have to break everything in my body before my spirit slightly bends.
That's awesome. Dang. Well, man, I mean, you sound like a great dude. I'm really rooting for you. We're all just pumped to have you on, and it seems like you've got more on your plate than just USFL, and I think that's awesome. And I think you're a great influence to others. I hope we can keep in touch.
Absolutely. Awesome. You got message me anytime.
Outstanding.
Sounds awesome, man.
Future recurring guest, Chase DeMoor. That sounds good.
Bring me back. We'll talk after the first win.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's right.
Absolutely. We can figure out how you block all these kicks. 2018, you blocked more kicks than anybody else in the country. I believe that.
And it's funny. It's not like we got scored on a whole lot either.
Is that just relentless? Are you just a relentless person? The film I watched, you have no quit. Like, even if, the play is advanced to the other side of the field and you're not going to get to the QB, you're not giving up. And it seems like you approach life like that.
Exactly. It comes back to what's going to break first, the spirit or the body.
Well, we've kept you for 40